They are looking like the superstars from the tournaments that were leading up to this FNCS Major 3. But like we mentioned earlier, they do drop at Nitro Dome, and they've recently vaulted the Boom Bolt from competitive, so they don't have that anymore. They will have the infinite ammo medallion though, which is still incredibly useful. But we'll have to see if they're able to maintain that consistency. Players drop it in. Game 1 is always a special feeling. You're still kind of getting warmed up a little bit, getting in the zone, getting locked in. And we'll start it off with some big names.
The Major 1 versus Major 2 champs right out of the gate at Redline Rig. Probably one of the more powerful medallions that you're fighting for, and Swizzy is already down. Malibuka and Merstache, they're able to get that first knock, the first elimination so far, but it's going to be a trade. Merstache was knocked as well. Vanyak trying to do his best to fight back and at least bring it to an even fight, but he slides his way up into the shot. Malibuka instantly takes him down.
Now, great way to start it off for Merstache and Malibuka. It's always a little stressful to do those almost 50-50 drops where you have to take the battle right off the start. Looks like Yanis was actually able to secure an elimination as well here. Bad sniper now, being the opponent that's left.
Now it's essentially a numbers game. Because they got that elimination so early, even though they don't have a ton of resources, they can kind of drain the clock down, make Bad Sniper have a bad move, and they just attack from 2 different angles. Another early game fight instantly won by Yanis and Flixie. A new duo to this season that you got to look at and think there's a lot of high hopes on the table for them.
A lot of potential. 11 Mini, we're talking about them. Especially with a lot of the duos that have moved to NA. Just opens up more opportunities for the ones that stayed here on EU. Landing brawlers as well. Taking a look at this POI. Brings memories from last major. Not as popular this time around, but still very strong.
Yeah, you still got a good amount of loot. You have the dashes. It is relatively center of the map as well. And because I think that so many people disregard Grim Gates, that there's no medallion there, that not many people want to challenge it. So virtually uncontested in most regions. So this is going to allow them to get a nice early start. It just all depends, does anybody rotate through Grim Gates, around Grim Gates, or is Toos and Karma going to have to rotate out to get their Storm Surge?
That's the big question. Important thing is elevating yourself here. You can see, kind of taking a peek at those surrounding duos. We saw how popular it was, the third-party Grim Gate, when it was the big POI of the season. So there's still a lot of split drops that do happen in the surrounding area. So opportunity for tags should arise if they're able to wait long enough. Perhawa Comeback, though, quick to rotate from their drop.
This is a team that we've seen in many different instances of majors that they're progressively getting better as a fight. Flixie and Vico, a team that we've talked about, getting very, very aggressive. We talked about what's over towards Reckless Reels. Well, the most common thing that we see almost every team try and fight for, it's that close forecast tower just to the south, a little bit to the east of where Reckless Railways is actually at. And already you see with early game eliminations, that's going to give them the best chances to go ahead and get it, but they're not stopping there. There's one elimination is not enough. They're going for another one onto Kiro and instantly takes him down. That's 2 total eliminations, a full team out of the lobby. And great positioning for Vico and Flixie.
Could this be the communications coming to play? Vico no longer having to speak English with Pink. Now, once again, back with his native language. As we switch over quickly to Artist here. Nice clean connects. Forcing that aggression now with the advantage. Gonna pick this up quickly. 2v1. Oh no, he's actually lost his duo partner. It's turned into a 1 versus 1. Danger now rising.
Yeah, Fanayan, basically a 1v1. Fire Hunter's already down. Artist is doing what he can. That's a nice shot. That's going to alleviate a good amount of pressure. But you have to be careful because there's almost no instance this season that you're 100% safe because of those nitro splashes, but they're just dodging around. Artist not wanting to stay in one position. Finally gets the piece control over the top. Fanayan basically going down with ease as Artist ends that one pretty quickly. And it's way before anybody else can begin to try to third party, move over in this direction, and interrupt it for themselves.
If you're able to get initial tags for these types of engagements, it's already an advantage. It's always been an advantage, but like you said, Jacob, now with the nitro splashes, it's just that much more powerful if you're able to land those initial shots. Because, I mean, it's very difficult to run away from someone that's charging at you with full nitro, both players. I mean, you can put ramps in your box, but you're only going to last so long. you won't have enough time to heal up. So it's definitely a scary position to be in for a lot of these players. Kiduoo and Nebs, though, very close to a lot of action, just like Marius here, who's already been cracked. Opposing duos now are going to be the aggressors.
You see the Nitro Splash being popped. Sango, got to be careful. Break it through the box once. Instantaneous. This is where you have to go ahead and switch layers. That's going to be the best defense. You cannot stay on that one. Nice shot to try to fight back, but Shadox just go ahead and slides down low to the low ground, being careful not to challenge. He is weak. One shot will do him in, so he has to be careful, pick and choose. Olver is also getting tagged down. Marius out of nowhere is alleviating the pressure that is absolutely necessary, and now the tables have turned. He's looking like he's on the chase.
Nitro Splash popped once again, looking to find the angle now to rush on in, but shots from above gets cracked once again. Marius dropped to 58 HP. Forced to play a little passive here. Mini's going to be popped. As now this is a situation that, you know, the third party's up above, just kind of looking down below. You still have that engagement that's unfinished. Nice! 2 shots connected as well. This is scary,
good.
Jacob.
Yeah, this is good for them too, because not only do they have that, they have the medallion all the way from the bottom side of the map, which gives them that infinite nitro splash ability essentially coming out from them. So if you try to challenge them, you have to be careful in a lot of these situations. And just like we're seeing nitro splash be used as the offensive maneuver item, you can see it here being used by Sanglid and Marius. They're quickly popping it because it does give you speed. It does give you a little bit more stamina, so you can cover as much distance as possible when you do need it to rotate, especially that the nitro fists are no longer here.
Yeah, it is now the main item for mobility and also just for fighting in general when you need it. Here you can see they also have a use of natural mobility with the launch pad on that ridge. 107 shot connected. And like we were mentioning, if you hit those initial shots, you can see nitro splashes pop instantly. The opponent can try and hide, can try and pop some shields and box up, but when you got 2 players that can run shoulder first right into your box, you're gonna have to take one out. You're gonna have to play for that aggression. You can only run for so long.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to, instead of playing defensively, trying to back up, you have to time your shots perfectly for when they break through those builds, and it's gonna come out as a sacrifice, and a 2v1 is not gonna be easy, and they're just hot on the hills, not really giving them a chance. Switching layers quickly to try to get out of the way of the nitro, but he drops right back down, putting himself in that same danger. Sayer's gonna buy him some time, but he needs more than just a couple of seconds. They have the 2 different angles, and it's just only a matter of time. He goes down altogether.
Yeah, like we said, the clock was ticking. There's not much you can do in that situation. High drop. And Haris, though, looking to be... I was going to say, there's not too many duos around them. They are kind of more edge zone here. 3 elims already on the board, so more than enough damage to start off this match. Double Flowberry Fizz as well. And you can even see the little Grimgate dashes that they got that I have kind of been conserving.
It does look like they're near the forecast tower as well. Doesn't matter if anybody's going to try to contest it. We saw Vico and Flixie over in that direction early on, and we see Karmian 2's rotating. They're not too far away from Grim Gates, making it all part of their loot path. That's the one thing that Grim Gates actually does lack, is that metal material. Everything else is pretty fine and dandy if you look at their loadout. You see him making that smart move. Zone doesn't pull far. They take their time. Instead of going all out aggressive, going for Surge, they know that opportunity is going to come later on in this same game as long as they position themselves accordingly.
CZB looking to connect some shots here with the DMR, but although they are positioned on top of the snowy mountain here, there's only a couple duos in sight that are rotating through. In terms of zone, though, they are positioned quite well. I'm curious to see how much total damage they've been able to secure, but it looks like they are going to start moving in a bit more.
That's what I like about this team. They're just progressively getting better. 3 FNCS finals, even though their best placing isn't among some of the best, it's all about consistency. It's all about progression throughout each and every one of these FNCS that you see. And there's so many teams, I think, this season that can actually claim that top 10 to try to get that global championship spot, especially with some of these other players leaving the region. Real beachhead over towards the side. Another spot that's new to this season. There's a lot of nitro over here. There's the boost rings that Kiduoo use to try to get to zone a lot quicker. And there's the cactuses that we've talked about if you want to save as much of the resources as possible when trying to win.
If you think about it, there's a lot of natural map mobility in this season. You said it yourself. Nitro portals, cactuses, water of sticks, launch pads. There's so many kind of just things scattered around the map that you can use to help get you to zone. You can even see Pixie and Yanis boxed up by one of those nitro portals. Taking pop shots currently, but it all depends on where that zone does end up pulling.
And you can see what they're doing here, saving all their heals. I talked about the cactuses. They're trying to go ahead and try to get Surge from far away in the distances. They're not really scared to take shots themselves because they know they have all those heals in the form of that cactus because it does respawn. It does give you 30 HP or shields. So for Pixie and Yanis, this is just the name of the game. 100 gone just like that, while 30 picked up yet again. Multiple cactuses to waste no time getting those shields back up. So they're constantly on the hunt for Surge. So when we get into that stage of the game, Takata, I expect them to be doing just fine.
100%. Little sneaky play here now, too. Believe close to brawlers. You got to be careful. Mid to late game. Is it worth it to walk into those already looted hangars, buildings, even little shacks throughout the map, as there could always be those players hiding? But it looks like they're not too interested. Oh, I might have spoke too soon.
Yeah, they're just farming up as much as possible. They are being very, very careful. They're watching out. They have some sense that somebody might be hiding in this direction. But they don't know exactly where, so they got to be careful not to overstep their boundaries just a little too deep in the zone. And right now, even though there's angles, I'm liking the patience coming out of this duo. Not getting a little bit too ahead of themselves, but they actually saw him on the other side. His teammate and his chance to catch somebody off guard. Nice shot to be fired by Frozzy. If he can kind of continue this pace, but Art skill with a flank. There's a strength in numbers that they're trying to use, but that's going to allow them to escape. You see that T-Chip's already starting to heal up. The Cola is going to get 75 shields over time and instant 25 HP, so all of that early damage is instantly right out the window.
You can see actually, too, the opposing duo hiding were not too strong on loot. They only had like a green gatekeeper and maybe even like a gray AR or something, but there must have been a reboot. You can see only 5 shots as well in the shotgun. I mean, they can still come out on top here, but they're definitely not as healthy.
Yes, it's not going to be easy. And the thing that's unfortunate is Art skill just goes in, all the positioning, all the health out the window for almost nothing. And now his teammate's stuck by himself. You see Flawless just going aggressive, 108, 48, back-to-back shots. And then that 2v1 is just too much to overcome. And that's the thing, Takata. All it takes is one mistake, 1 second of separation from your duo, and Art skill just felt that pain full force.
You can see how quickly he got eliminated, 200-0 in a millisecond. Even though they didn't have the best loot in the game, they still got the job done. As we switch back over to Merstash and Malabuka, on their drop spot, you can see they've secured the mythic loot. They got the 2 elims off spawn, and they just decided to build up and continue looking for tags as the zone has pulled south in this match. So no rotations having to be made yet by Merstash Malabuka. On the contrary, the opposing duos have had to rotate towards here, so they are capitalizing on that by taking those shots now from above.
Yeah, and just like we saw with the cactuses, Merstash does have that machinist medallion, so he is going to get shields up to 75 if he does lack it. So getting a Surge for them is another team I expect to be on top of the food chain when it comes to that. Sanglib, Marius towards the outside. They're just outside of where we saw Malabuka and Merstash positioned at. So taking a fight here is going to be a little risky if they do want to take it on that duo that's positioned below, because it exposes themselves not only to Malabuka and Merstash, but the other surrounding teams that'll probably third party it for Surge for themselves.
Yeah, you got to be careful here. 30 seconds until the next zone appears as well. There is that Nitro portal, but a lot of open area here and a lot of duos kind of just waiting to look back at you and take shots. So it's a little bit of patience here from both duos. No aggression coming from it yet.
Marius and Sangil have been in a couple fights so far. So you got to imagine they probably don't feel that necessity to have to go for Surge like some other players that might not have knowingly gotten those shots. And a far pull for everybody here in this quadrant of the map. So no matter if you're fighting now or later, you're going to have to rotate out of this position and make it a risky rotate. So that's where you see those nitro splashes, the boost ring, everything's going to come in handy for this next one.
Eco Flakesy, though, still a little chilly here in the snowy side of the map. Meanwhile, everybody else down south in the desert. You can see, though, they will make use of that porta potty, which is going to bring them closer to the zone, but not enough yet. As hopefully here they can make their way towards a launch pad or something to help them get into zone.
No, there's a couple launch pads positioned by. It does look like that's what they're looking for. You combine that with the Flowberry Fizz, makes for an easy rotation almost anywhere on the map. So you can already see one form of mobility that everybody knows and loves, but here's the new one. They still got some distance to cover. You combine that with the Flowberry Fizz, just like the launch pads, and man, you go zooming across the map. But it's very, very scary sometimes, because I was watching yesterday through round 3 a couple of times, seeing players do this. They launch straight into an enemy team's box.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Paris Eyedrop, though, has done a good job holding on to those dashes. Marius Sangil, now you said it yourself, they've gotten themselves into a significant amount of engagements, and they're not done yet. They're still hungry for more. Sangil, though, might have overstayed his welcome as he's been fully eliminated, leaving his duo partner alone now on his path back to zone here.
And Marius knows at least one person had already rotated by, just to know exactly where he's at. That's Olver. Right to the right there. He's going to go ahead and skip on past to try to get to zone. Now that Marius is solo, obviously you want your duo live. There's a huge strength when you can kind of 2v1 or 2v2 all these other opponents. But now he has a whole different feeling of flexibility. You can play for yourself. You can kind of get out of these hard positions without worrying about your teammate and not worry about them catching up. So this could be a little bit of a blessing in disguise for Marius. If he can use his positioning and everything accordingly, he is center of zone. This is one of the most perfect positions you could be in right now. And he's in between 2 different cactuses for some instant heals.
Good way to cope. Think of the positives of losing your duo partner. Not many, but I like the positive mental attitude you got there towards it. Nebs, Kiduoo knew that Marius was kind of waiting for something to happen, I believe. So they not only have to be careful of that, but also the other 2 duos that are boxed up in front of them. You can see the zone, though, at the bottom right has pulled right with them in the center of it. So they could even build one more up if they really want to here. They're positioned so well already. Depends how much damage they really want to get, how many materials they want to use, but this is actually great for them.
Yeah, it just all depends kind of on the HP hills. There's another team deep in the zone. It's going to open up if they can just last that long, but Storm Surge really affecting some of the players in the lobby. Turtle and Chiefs, the team that we saw grow throughout that last major, get better. They get aggressed on by one player. You got to imagine what Finn was going through right there, probably down on the Surge, but Chiefs gets tagged up, 1 HP separated. Storm Surge running wild. Nitro just pushing players through the box, and now it's just Chiefs by himself. That can only last for so long before he goes down to Ju and Asa.
Both players now forced to pop a med kit here. Zone is quite a ways away, so not only do they have to loot quickly, but also figure out how they're going to rotate in. Only 84 above, even after those 2 eliminations. You can see the amount of players that are kind of on the borderline as well. The edge of that zone going to be looking right back at them as they're rotating in. So although they came out on top of that engagement, they still have a long journey to go. Merstash Malabuka, though, finally left their drop spot. Even picked up another elimination now. Bunch of extra loot, though. Looks like they picked up 3, even though they only got 1.
That's the thing about this season, just kind of thinking back to that last fight, is they were kind of positioned on the low ground. I know they had already fought one team, but low ground this season, I feel like, is the quicksand. The longer you stay there, the longer you struggle, you're just going to begin to sink and sink. The nitro splashes, especially when players are out of build, especially in this lane game, it's going to become very, very disastrous. So picking and choosing which layer, to me, is so impactful and so much more crucial this season than kind of ever before. And we're going to just see it play out. I know we've seen little instances so far today with the nitro splashes, but once we get a couple more zones inward, we're going to see how impactful where your positioning actually means for you.
We were talking about it. There's so many plays that can come from these nitro splashes that we haven't seen in a long time. So these late games, they're going to get chaotic, but they're definitely going to be fun to watch. Kiduoo Nebs continuing with the rotate. You can see they were making use of that cactus again to just full out on shield, but you got to be careful as Kiduoo's been cracked now. Nebs going to have to help him out here. Group up, hold builds for a little bit. They don't need damage. They just need to be safe.
It's all about just surviving in most cases. Some thriving, others not. Ping just runs right past. Against a team who desperately needs surge, 244 below, and one blessing right here is there's a team positioned right in front. Everybody has to rotate away, so this could give them an opportunity at an isolated fight, and this is where they're going to rotate parallel, follow around any one of these teams, figure out who they can catch off guard, because they just popped the Nitro Splash, so in a second, as soon as they reach a box, they can start fighting. Uh-oh.
Have to be careful. 268 below as well. 321, it just keeps getting worse. Even 1 to 2 eliminations might not be enough here. It's just either out heal or completely pop off, but with that inventory, with that loadout, it's not looking like much of a possibility to out heal, so they've really got to hope a lot of players get eliminated here, as the zone even has pulled towards them. Bandages found. Look at the amount of clustered players as well, just beside them.
Just one of those very, very tricky scenarios. Flixie just sitting in the cone, doesn't want to get Nitro Splash, dashed into the box, peeking behind, seeing which players are going to have to rotate in and around him. All this information is so crucial, especially when you're a solo like Flixie and you got your back up against the wall, trying to pick up points, but Volko, Cringe, they see him there. He's in the cone for good reason. They break through the bottom layer, but Flixie, now everything is coming crashing down. You see him changing elevations, up, down, ping-ponging around, trying to survive, but as soon as he goes higher, a third party, other players in the lobby start to notice. They shoot some shots in his direction, but that has slowed down the chase. That allowed him to breathe here for a moment and survive into the next fight.
Almost all his materials used up just to survive that situation. It's incredibly important to place ramps in almost every box you're going to be in now, just because of those Nitro Splashes. It'll give you another second to kind of tank that initial shot after the wall breaks. As now, first moving zone here for these players is going to be coming shortly. 995 above for Merstash and Malabuka. You called it yourself. That medallion, which allows them to constantly be at 75 shield. Coming in clutch to not only get those tags, but also be confident in these engagements and conserve all their consumables for this late game.
I'm starting to feel that confidence. They already have the 3 eliminations, good position above everybody else. Push comes to shove. They have the Nitro Splashes as well, but they need to be careful. iDrop and Horace, they are the first team to at least trying to make a claim for that high ground. How long can they hold on to it? They still got 3 more zones to go before this game is over. And they can quickly run out of builds if anybody has an opportunity to look up, try to target them, and chop them down.
Good news is there aren't any Nitro Fists, so they don't have to worry about any uppercuts so far. But what they do have to worry about is people popping those Nitro Splashes and running through their builds to try and chop them down, but that's a problem later in the match. Merstash Malabuka gonna worry about getting to zone. Nice cracks though, nice initial shots. Merstash has been cracked as well though. They're gonna be forced to play a bit safe here. Trade that medallion so Merstash can recuperate that shield without having to use flow barrier or big pots. Pixie now alongside Yanis, looking incredibly healthy.
Yeah, they're just trying to go up. They don't want to stay on that low layer. They had a claim for the high ground. iDrop wrist, they got chopped down. Pixie Yanis, they saw that as a green light to go, and they immediately changed layers, moving all the way up that mountain, but they did catch themselves. iDrop wrist, they will not be denied that opportunity to try to take this game. Top 18 position, every team that goes down, that's placement points that come in. So if you're a solo like Marius, surviving here is going to be so important, crucial, some would say, to having a good game 1.
Artist gone down. Marius still holding on strong, but just one shot away from getting eliminated, unable to escape, as Nebs and Kiduoo are going to be the ones to take that elimination. Bumped up to 6 now. Haris iDrop still above, maintaining height.
Nobody really had that chance to look up at him just yet and see Pixie trying to go forward. He gets chopped down, a little bit of HP, so he's not going to be able to contest for it for long. Nobody has a chance to look up because of the Nitro Splashes. Everybody down below has to be careful that somebody's going to break into their box. Yanis down, Kenty gone. There's so many players getting lost right now in the blink of an eye because they're not staying ahead of the game. All the materials are running out. Pixie forced to drop down low, and you got to be careful. That's the quicksand I was talking about.
Low ground is incredibly dangerous with these Nitro Splashes at play. Your builds are not safe. You are not safe if you're down below. Issue is, a lot of these players, they're going to be running low on materials now. They don't have an option to play mid or high ground. They're going to be dropping down layers as they keep running out of resources, and it's just going to be more and more dangerous For Cade and Marine, though, chemistry is key. Good amount of mats. Both players up. Nice initial connection, but the pressure's on them. Walls being broken, but they're still holding on strong.
The ramp narrowly saving their game right there, defending against that Nitro Splash push. They just dropped down one layer. Cringe still alive. Malibuca Mustache still finding opportunities, almost uncontested in that middle layer that they're working on. As Pixie just trying to go ahead and dive into a box, trying to survive, but it's Combeck who takes him down. Great opportunity for him to pick up an elimination and even more placement points.
Nebs, Kiduoo, nice little picking. You got to be careful, though. We talked about the danger from being down below. They're in a good layer here, but they're running low on mats. Just 2 more builds for Nebs. Kiduoo must be low as well, as they're forced to look back now. Alternative routes to find any sort of elimination, any sort of refresh, as Combeck is left alone.
Yeah, survival here is going to be huge. Changing layers. Trying to lose his tail as he was getting followed there momentarily. Malibuca Mustache doing wonders, finding another one on the Cade. His teammate already went down, so that's a full duo gone. 6 eliminations so far, and you see their eyes. They looking up. They're waiting for that opportunity to challenge the high ground because they know eventually if they don't, Haris and iDrop will drop down onto them.
FNCS champions showing why they have the respect that they do on the European region. And all of Fortnite competitive itself as they go for this high ground retake. This is a game-winning play.
Yeah, they just took too much damage. Risk, and iDrop's forced to give it up. Malibuca Mustache from almost not even making it to this stage to taking advantage of being in a lobby like this is Ju with just a little bit of HP. He does have one Nitro Splash, but how he uses it is definitely up to him, and it has to be perfect if he's looking to survive a top 4 of straight dangerous players. Haris is trying to heal off backside his own. He's going to be the only solo left in the world full of duos.
Malibuca Mustache now. Mustache dropping down, looking to cause commotion on Kiduoo and Nebs as the medkit gets popped. Only one more medkit, though, to be put to use. Malibuca, no more heals. He has to find the player healing. He needs to finish it.
Yeah, he doesn't know where he's at. He's looking all around. He's trying to Nitro dash his way into the box, but he doesn't find anything. Kiduoo and Nebs, 11 eliminations, have figured out a way to sneak that win away from everybody else in the lobby.
What a way to close out the match. Mustache Malibuca had the correct idea there, going for height, overtaking it. The issue was, although they got those eliminations, they did not have any heals to play. They were not aware of where that last player was playing the heal off, and that's exactly why Nebs came out on top.
Yeah, it's not every single game, especially with the Nitro Splashes, that we are going off to these heal off scenarios. So some players are not prepared. So they take shield just over everything else, and it's just moments. Moments like this. Nebs and Kiduoo were just finding every opportunity. Whoa. And even when they didn't answer the door, well, they broke the door down and made themselves a path in. And there goes Malibuca. You see him in the distance, going on the hunt, doesn't find anything. And that's going to be a big game victory and a huge amount of momentum for Nebs and Kiduoo.
Look, those are the type of heal-offs I got respect for. Kiduoo Nebs not only won the match playing the heal off, but they had double-digit eliminations. You saw how ruthless they were looking, going box to box with the Nitro, playing together like solid teammates, not getting knocked down a single time. That was a very strong performance to start off the day.
Yeah, but that's only one game. We got 5 more entertaining games to go on the day. We're going to take a quick moment to really take a look at Malibuca and Mustache. That is what is incredible. Malibuca and Mustache have played absolutely perfect in today's games, and I mentioned it throughout the course of that last one, Takata. They didn't really get an opportunity, almost didn't get an opportunity to play in this round. Just 4 spots shy. They squeaked their way in. They got down to Nebs and Kiduoo. You see 11 eliminations, the 65 points, and this right here, Takata, is a moment because they took down one right there onto Kenty, and they just kept looking forward. Nitroed their way into safety, and then this is right here. You keep watching, they find another elimination. Well, we didn't see it there, but they found another elimination shortly after that, which is what they used to get a few more of those med kits, a few more of those materials, which allowed Kiduoo to box up right there to safely heal off.
Yeah, I like how Nebs closed it off because Mustache was already on the hunt. He was ready to find that elimination. He knew that Malibuca had no heals and he had to cause disruption down below, but Nebs was one step ahead of the game, positioned himself in a position where he knew they wouldn't find him, and ultimately secured the VR to close it out. But we're gonna go to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll see how that's shaking up things on the leaderboard. So we'll see you soon.